Okay, this is Jacob Schmidt with DeerHuntingSchool.com. I'm fixing to go to an area. It's a new area. I've never hunted it. We got me a couple trail cameras ready, some good batteries. This place is supposed to be a very prime place for, really taking some really big bucks. But I've done a little homework on it. I've looked on some aerial photos, some Google Earth. I've been looking at it. I've got me some maps printed out of the area, some good detailed maps here where I can just kind of look at it. I've got some decent areas in mind. I always want to take a GPS. I always take a GPS with me so I can mark spots. Okay, here I am. Right now I'm just driving around, riding around in my vehicle. This area here is about 20,000 acres of public land. I'm just really, me and Bentley and Misty here, we're just riding around, spending some family time, and all I'm really doing is just looking at the layout of this land and just kind of getting some ideas of how it's laid out. I've never hunted this deer hunting wise, and I'm just gonna, basically just spend a little time, a couple hours, or maybe not a couple, but yeah, about an hour or two, just riding around, just getting the layout, looking at the land, looking at the different types of trees, looking at the terrain, just basically, looking at stuff like this, looking at the direction these creeks and rivers and stuff like this goes, and these sloughs, and looking at some of the camp areas. This is one of the areas that a lot of the bigger bucks are killed in. So I'm gonna start learning it. And this, basically the first thing you do is just get out and just start looking at it and seeing what you have.
Hey, the deer been rubbing on cheese.
I've actually got out and I'm headed back towards one of the areas that I think looks good. There's a rub here, and there's another rub right there. But you see how this, I don't know if you guys can see this, but there's a rub right here. He's using it coming both ways, okay? And then there's a rub right here. Okay, you see that rub? I don't know if he's using it both ways. Yeah, he's using that both ways. This buck is, I believe this is probably going to be a younger buck. But you see how this has got that indent that's been built in this here to where these deer are coming and crossing this slough. Them are areas you look for on creeks and river bottoms and banks and stuff like that. But you see there, that stand is not even 10 foot tall. Okay, and he's wide out in the open. There's no cover around it whatsoever. I would prefer to be up higher than that and to be in more cover, and to be on a bigger tree. But right there, sticking out like a sore thumb.
This is a giant leaf.
That's a giant leaf. And then Misty, she's carrying my map. So we're gonna keep scouting here, guys, and looking around. And okay, we're just a little bit further on the trail. Here's a rub. Looks like a much, it's an older rub, early in the season. But this is looking like a much more sizable deer. Here's the top of the rub line, just about his chest height, and right over the top of his head, you've got gouge marks where tines have hooked into this tree. That's signs of a pretty good buck. That this is starting to get really thick up above my head. Guys, deer are going to start feeling more safe in areas like this and stuff. And you can see where some deer have been using it. This rub here is pretty good signs of a very large buck. If you see, he just completely shredded the dang tree, just tore it all to heck when he rubbed it. So that's pretty well a good sign of a really good buck in the area. So that's a good sign. There's a thicket right here. Looks pretty good. But that's definitely signs of a large buck. he's demolished that tree.
Okay, the area we just looked at here is this here, the P1. That's where actually I'm going to zoom in on it a little bit. This is where I actually parked at, right here. And then we walked down this way here, just on the edge of this slough as the slough goes back. Continue watching the video. We're going to go to the next spot that I looked at, and then we'll kind of put it all together and just kind of make a little sense of it.
Okay guys, I don't know if you guys can see it. Look at all them tracks. Okay. That's a big track. That's a big track right there. Guys, I no more turn the dang camera off, put it in my pocket. And there's a deer right over there, laying right on the edge of that swamp. Guys, this is tore up with deer. That's coming up and through all this old logged area, and whatever this is. One thing I just noticed is there's a deer stand right there. It's another one of these deer stands that are, you know, 10 foot up or so. It's in a spot where there's a lot of deer coming through. Tons of deer tracks. Coming right past this person's stand. And from now through the rest of the deer season, this is bow hunting only. So I'm not quite so sure about that deer stand right there. To be honest with you. Because that thing's 10 foot off the ground. And, you know, I just see deer picking you off too easy. Way back in here, that has to be private property. You got people hunting right there, and there's another deer stand about 100 yards from that one, sitting right there, right on the property line. Look here. This is coming up into this thick stuff, and sure enough, there's a rub. That, my friends, is a Cadillac of a deer stand. That is right on the property line of this public land, and they can access it easily because they can use ATVs and things like that to come in and out. But they've got stands all the way down this line. It's probably about 600 yards of their property line bumps up to this, but that's a Cadillac stand, and there's actually a scrape just right down there on the property line, and there's a rub line that comes right up through this stuff. I'm going to ease out of here, and I'm going to come back and investigate this area, back out in this area. I'm going to look at it on aerial photo and stuff too, and look and see some of the stuff I've gathered. Guys, this is an area where there's definitely some Boone and Crockett's get killed on this piece of public land every year.
Okay, here we go. This here's the first area. I know I done showed you this, that we walked just a little ways. And really all I'm trying to do here is just gather some information. This was the first area we walked down. The little rub line where I showed you the little, where it was wallowed out. There's two little rubs there. That was right there. The deer stand that was real short was right on them rubs, right here. Okay, and then there was another big rub and a scrape. Big rub here and a scrape. There was a couple scrapes up and down this. I don't know why I didn't take them on video. There's a couple scrapes in the other area too, but that was the first area we walked down. It was, you know, was getting pretty thick back in here. And really all I'm doing is just gathering some information so I can come and start mapping it out and looking at this stuff. Okay, the second spot, we parked here at 2. Was right here we parked. We never really parked here, but this is going to be my, I marked this as a parking spot in case, because some of this I'm going to erase and whatever, but I walked down through here. This was the second spot. I walked down through here. So you've seen all the deer tracks that were just really heavy. I showed you the deer tracks were up in here. These are the ones I showed you. I didn't film every deer track, but and then that one stand was right in here somewhere. Okay, that other stand that I showed you that I just said was short, and it was right in there somewhere. And you get back in here, and that Cadillacer, I mean monster stands sitting right in here. And these guys have got stands all the way down this. This is actually right on the property line, runs straight down through here. Okay, and I walked it, and I walked to here, and it got so muddy I just couldn't walk no more. I just had my tennis shoes on. I could have walked in rubber boots, but I would have been knee deep in mud had I went any further, because I was already sinking bad. But anyways, they've got stands all down through here. And this, I said 600 yards. It's I measured out. It's like about 1,500 yards from here to here. And this is same. It's a half a mile. It's a little over a half a mile from this point here to this point here. Okay, and then this from this point here to my vehicle is a little over a half a mile too. And then on the way out, I walk down and come out through here. Okay. Now the reason I do this, and what I do is I leave my GPS on tracker so that I can actually track, and then when I come back, now this is just a picture that I snapped, but I can actually track, and I can put these place markers on Google Earth, and I can actually see what I have and how these things are working together. Because here, I'm on this right here, this area here, there's just big deer tracks coming in and out of this property. Okay, back in here, just big deer tracks. And I've got an idea of what's going on in here. There's just tracks, just swarms of tracks, and it's no different through here. There's just as many tracks here as there is here. Okay, now this is soft ground, so it'll hold the tracks a lot better. But what I do is, and I continuously do this non-stop. I don't stop doing stuff like this. I'll scout areas, this area here, and like I said, I'm just beginning to hunt this, but I've got an idea of what is going on in this area with these deer. Okay, and then of course the one deer that I seen that I mentioned, I seen a deer was right in here. Okay, the deer was right in here somewhere, and it got up and went this direction. Okay, so I have an idea now, a little bit of an idea of what the deer are going on, and then what I do is I'll sit here and I'll look, and I also, the other thing that I have, I want to figure out what the deer are doing. And then I also want to figure out what other hunters are doing. Okay, I want to figure out what other hunters are doing, because I've got to be able to avoid them to really get to the really big deer. So I got to figure out what the deer are doing. I got to figure out what other hunters are doing. I mean, this is it right here, guys. Just getting out, doing your homework on an area, walking around, do some scouting, spend that time. I didn't put my trail cameras up today because the areas that I'm in, I'm too nervous on them flooding and running my trail cameras, and I don't really have to, because guys, I've seen thousands and tens and hundreds of thousands of tracks that are just big deer. But that's the key, is just get in these areas, do your homework, spend some time scouting them. Don't just go out and try to hunt them blindly. Do your homework, spend that time in first, if you have to, the first couple of days doing some scouting. Whatever, I know some of you are like me, you only get to hunt certain times of the year, but it's much better to spend that time you have scouting and finding good productive area spots than it is to spend all that time hunting a spot that's not going to be productive. A spot where you just miss the main area where the deer are really moving through and the big bucks are moving through. And you may only be 100 yards out of place and just far enough where you never see that deer or see them deer where you don't know. And then you finally figure it out a long time down the road. Spend an extra time doing your homework and finding them areas. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This is Jacob Schmidt with DeerHuntingSchool.com.
check out deerhuntingschool.com for more tips and information and things like that on deer hunting. Have a good day and bye-bye.